Gonna go for two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Okay, episode 2, season 2, on the eve of the golf tournament. We are live here. This is going to be a little bit of a rotating door for who wants to talk to me today, because Chad's only here for about 10-15 minutes while Kalen comes. There could be an awkward pause where I'm by myself. Bear with us on something like that. Chad, how you doing? Looks like you're out of practice right now.
I am sitting in my car at the field right now, just kind of holding down the fort till keeping Caitlin's chair nice and warm for him on this Thursday Eve. But we got this golf tournament tomorrow, and I've talked a lot of shit, and I'm ready to go. And
yeah, you're gonna get throw punched on the opening hole.
Like, I have the most athletic team, and that's with me removing myself from the equation.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, if anything, if Daryl is a 9 athleticism, your team's a 7.
100%, but we're still the most athletic team there.
I don't know, man. Have you ever seen Palmer throw a baseball?
I've seen Palmer play some slow pitch.
Yeah, he can huck a ball, but the two of us will bring baseballs, and before Daryl can even run at him, there's a fastball in the forehead.
I'm more of the wild card team. That's the team. I don't know. We don't know what we're getting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the wild card team is going to be pretty interesting. But before we get into a little bit of NFL here, we want to thank Coolbet again. They've gone out of their way. They not only did they fund the event, they've helped us out over the last year, so we appreciate them. We actually had the pleasure to meet Chris today, the country manager. That guy runs Coolbet. That guy's a stud. Gave us a case of tailor-made golf balls to give away tomorrow, so make sure that you're tuning in during that. But the big news coming out of football was there's a possibility that Carson Wentz and Quinn Nelson are playing week 1. I kind of wanted to save that one for Kalen, and I'm probably going to piss on him about it later on too, but I have something special for him. How you feeling about that, Chad? You think there's actually a chance that these guys play week 1?
If there is, I want to know who the doctor is. I want to get in contact with him. And I want him to be able to treat anybody in the world. That guy's got some miracle drugs.
Yeah.
He's got something. These guys have no business being like their earliest timeline they were saying was, how do you from week 5 to week 12 to being ready week 1? I want to know what you're doing. Like, I want to know that special treatment. I'm a beat up old man. I need to know what you're giving these guys.
Yeah. Well, and when it was looking at potentially November, and then he's walking around in a boot, and then he has whatever treatment he has, and now the boot's off. There's not even a limp. I'd say it's still a bit of a pipe dream, the fact that you would think that a guy like this is going to play week 1. But this changes the outlook of what we were talking about a little bit earlier this week, and you had already written them off. So
I did, yes.
Knowing that it might just say he misses the first 3 or 4 weeks, do you feel better about the Colts? Or because I mean, it is going to be a longer season. You know, do you feel okay? Carson Wentz is probably going to miss 4 games due to injury anyway. You might as well miss the first 4.
I feel they'll have to still they'd have to go 2-2 out of that. It'd be their only chance.
Yeah.
If you go 0-4, you're not bouncing back from that. I'm sorry. You only gained 1 game. So we'll call it 0-3 then if in the old schedule. You don't bounce back from an 0-3 schedule.
Sorry. I'll tell you what I think would be amazing. And, we talked a little bit about Nick Eason, whatever, but it looks like Sam Ehlinger is getting the first team reps right now in practice, which means the Colts could have a long-time Texas Longhorn quarterback. And how big of a slap in the face is that to somebody like Kalen? Imagine, I guess Ian Book did get picked up by the Saints, didn't he?
Yeah, he's there.
So imagine Ian Book in 2-3 years when he's ready to be a starter. If he's the starter for New Orleans, how are you going to feel about Ian Book as a Bucs fan? Like, do you abandon him?
Like, I hope he has a great career.
Yeah.
As a backup until he's out of New Orleans.
Right.
Like, I hope he gets the greatest education learning from Sean Payton as a young quarterback. And then in contract time comes, he's like, well, time to jump ship. As long as it's on the NFC South, I'm okay with it.
Well, I don't think that he's going to be a Buck because they've already found Kyle Trask, and it's
Yeah,
kind of an interesting thing. Like,
rare.
yeah, I mean, like a guy like Brian Hoyer, who, I mean, if Ian Book had Brian Hoyer's career, he'd probably be a lucky guy. But I don't remember hating him when he was the Browns quarterback, and I got like he actually was a quarterback for the Steelers for a little bit there too. But when he was on the Browns stunk so bad, like it didn't bother me. So would it bother you less, I guess, if he's the quarterback of the Saints, but the Saints suck, which seems like that's the road they're going down.
I don't know, man. It's a tough thing. Like, I love the kid. Like, he was huge for us at Notre Dame. He kind of made Notre Dame, I wouldn't say that we've always been relevant, but like, we were a top 4 team the years that he started.
You would think he made Notre Dame great again? Is that what you're saying?
Great. We'll say great-ish again. We were great-ish again. But he brought back Notre Dame football to being like, I wouldn't call us a powerhouse, but we're definitely we were a top 5 team when he was at quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, you beat Clemson. Trevor Lawrence wasn't the quarterback of Clemson when you beat them, but at least it wasn't like it was a schlub. This guy was a 5-star recruit as well. I mean, he's going to be a potential Heisman candidate this year.
Yeah, he could win the Davey O'Brien this year. That kid, the DJ is unreal. And I think people just don't realize it because he sat on the bench, but look who he sat behind.
We need to get that son of a bitch on here because there's no fucking way that Aiden doesn't have some kind of connection with this dude. We should
think so. Aiden, where are you? We need you. Talk to your boy.
Aiden's a good dude. He'll take care of us. If he can do it, he'll do it. But I do want to talk a little. I'm going to pivot off football for just a sec. And I want to get your opinion on this too, because you're not a huge baseball fan. You don't watch every game just because, like, the way that I do. This Field of Dreams thing, like, we just sat, like, you were just here a second ago. We just had a beer before you left. How do you feel about it? How do you look at it? Like, you remember that being an iconic movie like when we were kids. But how do you view today's game? Like, does it change the way that you view baseball?
Change the way I view baseball? No. Well, what I have watched is giving Friday Night Football 1,000%.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams made me actually read a book in high school called 8 Men Out because of literally Field of Dreams.
And that was the
I
only
actually
book,
finished
right?
the book.
That was the only
What's
book?
that?
That was the only book?
That was literally the only book I think I finished in school. So Field of Dreams had a huge impact on my life. It was the first book I ever finished.
And it convinced you that you can read, which is obviously a plus for confidence.
Yeah, well, left to right.
Yeah, well,
I can't write though. We've seen. I have a great editor. That's all I'll say.
I'm 90% sure that runs in your family. I mean, I don't. Yeah. I don't want to bury Josh while he's not here to defend himself. But even if he was, we'd bury him. But yeah, I mean, this game is pretty. It's pretty special, and I don't want to say like get all sappy and weird, but seeing Kevin Costner come out, like, I wanted him to be genuinely interested, and maybe he is, maybe he's not. He was definitely put on a good show. Looked like he was pretty like starstruck. He was pretty in awe of what was happening. I thought it was a pretty cool move that they made all these guys walk out of the cornfield behind him. Kind of like, I mean, that's how everything went in the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, fucking shame on you. It's been 31 years. It's not a spoiler at this point. But you should definitely check it out. It's just interesting. I mean, a game of this magnitude, 2 potential playoff teams, if this actually happened when it was supposed to, it might not have been as big of a deal. But this is the White Sox, who is potentially the best team in the AL, if not the second best, and a Yankee team that's fighting for a playoff spot with our guys. But imagine being a player in this kind of, like, to you, what would the Field of Dreams for football look like? What would that be?
Oof. Like, for me personally, it'd be South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah, but I mean, as like a football in general, like, what would that be equivalent to in football?
Oof.
Like the Rose Bowl, you think? Like Pasadena?
Like, I'd say like the Rose.
Or is it just like a Big Ten dick rider?
No, I think the Rose Bowl, or like I think growing up, like I was brainwashed to be a 49ers fan. It didn't happen, but like Candlestick had some like majesticness to it.
Yep.
So like that would definitely be part of it. I think for me, like just from my own childhood, to kind of get to relive that with the baseball diamond out there and seeing those guys. But yeah, like it's a pretty cool thing. I'm glad baseball is doing it. Like I think hockey might have started the trend of the outdoor classic that they've kind of overdone and overused.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of these teams that have the outdoor classic deserve an outdoor classic, but the idea was great originally, and I really hope they kind of go back to like using the original teams that were doing it. But no, for baseball, I think this is huge. And once again, like you have teams that actually matter. And I think that makes a huge difference outside of their actual fan bases.
Yeah, and what you were talking about with the the stadium series is what they call it now, the outdoor winter classic, whatever. Like sometimes they're being played in places like California or Arizona.
Dallas, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, like that kind of stuff to me is silly because it's not something that you could actually like. You're just watching a hockey game outside at that point. It doesn't take you back to playing pond hockey. You know, you play if the Buffalo Sabres play a game at whatever the Bills call their arena. Like, it's not New Era Field anymore, right? They changed it again.
It's not Ralph Wilson anymore. I don't know what it's called.
Hasn't been Ralph Wilson in a while, but I know that place keeps changing names. But you know, have the Sabres play the Islanders at Bills Stadium is what we'll call it for now. That feels like an actual outdoor pond hockey game. That feels like something that makes sense, as opposed to the Anaheim Mighty Ducks playing the LA Kings at fucking like the Coliseum. So,
well, actually, like Calgary playing Edmonton, like that makes sense.
Yeah, right.
The Battle of Alberta outdoors, like that's a fucking hockey game.
Yeah. If you don't get regular snow and your lake doesn't freeze over, and I mean, I guess for a place like California, I guess it's a good thing that the ocean doesn't freeze over, but I don't know. If your lakes and your ponds don't freeze over, then you shouldn't be able to host an outdoor game. And same thing like something like this. As much as this is awesome, this is really cool. I think to me, it would ruin what they're doing if they just pick two random teams to play in this game every year. Now, I'm not saying that they won't. Like it's a likelihood that they will anyway, because obviously they invested all this money into the stadium. You look around, the casual baseball fan is probably going to be interested in this for a couple of years at least. Looks like Buddy just roped one into the corn, which is pretty hilarious. I don't know if that's a home. Yeah, they're going to count that as a home run. It looked like it went under the fence, but
sorry to cut you off, but this just mountain of a man just showed up. Our new DN just showed up, and I've been like starstruck by seeing this mutant.
Jeez, is he not wearing a shirt?
He's got Under Armour on, and that dude's literally probably walking around at 290 yoked.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna give you some advice. I probably wouldn't pick that guy as your shower stall roommate. You know what I'm saying? I think
no, I might lose.
I think you're gonna be in tough shape, but we do have a pretty big boost going on right now. I don't know. Did I say that at the beginning, Chad?
No, we didn't get down to the boost yet.
Okay, so
got time.
Yeah. The first game doesn't start till I think 9:30 tonight. So you got a couple hours here still. So you want the BC Lions plus 7.5. You want that game to be under 48.5, and then we want the Blue Jays to just win straight up money line. So that's going to pay you plus 500. I'd say, go through a unit or two on that, and you're going to feel pretty good about yourself in the morning.
All right, man. I don't want to be that guy, but I got to run. I got to head to practice.
Oh, shit. So we're about to go solo here. So
you're about to go solo. I was trying to stall as long as I could for Kalen, but he's running a bit behind. And
that's okay. I don't mind the sound of my own voice, so hopefully nobody else does.
All the coaches just left our meeting spot, and so now they're not even over here. So I definitely got to dip.
All right. Well, enjoy yourself.
I mean, we'll talk tomorrow, and I'm sure I'm going to beat you tomorrow at golf, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's highly unlikely, but I look forward to it either way. So make sure that you check out for our streams throughout the day. But yeah, man, go enjoy practice. Go win the natty.
All right, man.
Don't piss off that monster.
Yeah, I'm gonna die if I do. So, see you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so now we are an army of one for a second.
I'm here too, Dad.
Yeah, my man Liam is here. You can't see him, but you can hear him. Big news coming out of New Orleans right now in regards to Michael Thomas. Now, there's been a pretty big saga going on. He hurt himself last year. Anybody that picked him in fantasy knows exactly what I'm talking about because the guy was supposed to be one of the top receivers in football, and he played all of 5 games. But it turns out he came back at the end of the year because there was some kind of agreement between him and Drew Brees. Drew Brees really, really wanted him to play, and Michael Thomas knew that Drew Brees was walking away, so he didn't want to pass up that opportunity. The doctors told him, your ankle's not going to be hurt more, but you're going to have to do something in the offseason. Whatever. So throughout some point in the offseason, he cut off all communication with the Saints for whatever reason, and neglected to get his surgery, which, very, very interesting, peculiar thing to do. But now that he's actually back with the Saints, he's decided to get that surgery, which is why he's actually going to probably be out till October, November. But the big kicker is the shots that keep being fired between head coach and player, which is Peyton and Thomas. They seem to be at each other's throats to the point that I don't know if the owner is forcing this or if this is something that these guys just wanted to do, but they're being placed in a room to talk this thing out and get this thing figured out. So I don't know, Liam, like how awkward do you think something like that would be?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. Like, it depends on how much they can be like adults about the whole situation.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, you would expect the head coach to be the adult in the situation. Doesn't necessarily mean that Michael Thomas won't be that guy, but based on everything that we can see or hear about it, doesn't seem like he is in the wrong. But again, this is the court of public opinion. I say you don't have to like your boss to go to work. So if you can't get along with the head coach, who cares as long as the quarterback feeds you the ball? They've already paid you, so you might as well be there. Yeah. You would agree with that?
Of course, yeah. I didn't like you some days, still had to go to work.
Yeah, probably most days, honestly. But that's we'll see how that goes. I mean, that team's kind of a little bit rebuilding, and I mean, Liam, you're a fantasy guy too, so I don't know if you would think about drafting him. To me, I probably would just avoid anybody on the Saints completely. Just I'm not really sure what to expect from them, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what Jameis Winston's going to be, and his best doesn't necessarily, like when he was top in the league, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be a top tier quarterback. He turns the ball over too much. So to me, I guess unless you're getting Alvin Kamara, you probably are avoiding that subject altogether.
I had Kamara a couple of years ago, and he bombed for me, and I refused to draft him ever again.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the pettiness. That's what I like too. It's all about that kind of shit, and when it comes down to it, fantasy football is about bragging rights with friends, even though there's generally a little bit of money on the line. But Liam, I saw that you recently logged into our GFT and Friends League, which it's almost full.
Indeed, I am looking forward to try and play. Normally, I play with people who don't understand football, so this is the first league that I'm playing where people actually do play or pay attention to fantasy football. So we shall see how it goes. I am just happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I mean I don't know if Chelsea knows a ton about football, but seems like Aiden and Huss are both pretty dialed into that, and we'll see what kind of experience they bring from it. Personally, for me, I think it's just fun. We haven't even really decided on what we're going to do, but it's obviously going to have some kind of a charitable aspect to it because that seems to be what we do. And I mean, obviously, it's good for whatever cause. So we might even just say, if everyone throws in a 50, the winner gets to decide where the pot goes to their charity of choice. And I mean, there's so many great ones out there. There's got to be at least 12 that one of us can pick, right?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, I gotta keep unmuting and muting the microphone. So
Yeah, that's fine. It's not a big deal. If you want to see if Kalen's done with his maternity pay, yeah, Kalen's expecting a child, so he's getting pictures of his stomach taken. So that is why he is currently not with us. So I'm gonna jump around a little bit here and probably get back to a little bit of baseball, and then I'm probably gonna circle back and ask this question to Kalen or Rick if either one of them decides to get in here. We were kind of waiting on either one of them. But the Jays right now they seem like they're getting on a run. And baseball seems to be all about math. So I wanted to do a little bit of math, work based on the average run that they are on right now. But if they were to come back down to earth a little bit, kind of what's their winning percentage? So right now their winning percentage is right around like the 800 over the last 20 games. But if we were to go say 65% of their games, we have 43 games remaining, so that gives them about 31 wins. So would the Blue Jays be a playoff team at 93 wins? You have to think 90 wins or more has to get you into the playoffs, but because of teams like the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Athletics, all four of those teams are on pace to have those 90 wins. So that means that there's potential for 2 90-win teams to miss in the AL. And I think that that's pretty absurd. I'd be curious to see if that has ever happened before. I don't think that it has. But in that kind of an instance, if you're the coach, you kind of look at it. Can it be a disappointing season? I don't think so. But what it could do is really force the MLB to look at their playoff structure and decide maybe we need to expand a little bit. Maybe 5 teams just isn't enough. When it comes down to it, if we have, I guess 5 are going to make it to it. So if they had 7 teams in the AL that are 90 plus wins potentially, I just don't see how 5 teams is good enough if you have that many teams that are getting up into that upper echelon of wins. But that could just be me being biased as a Jays fan. I know Liam's pretty much indifferent to baseball, but if he had to cheer for somebody and it was a playoff game, I'm sure it'd be the Blue Jays. So
I think just by like area proxy, you have to, right?
Right. Yeah.
I just don't care about baseball, and really the only time I go to the Jays game, I try and get as tanked as possible. So
yeah, like there's always the argument out there that people chirp me for not having a favorite Canadian hockey team, which okay, fine. Like I don't. I like the Penguins, and I've liked the Penguins forever, but it was because of Mario Lemieux, who was a Canadian player. So anyway, but does it water it down that at that point in time there would have been 7 Canadian teams versus there's only 1 Canadian team in baseball and basketball? And I think that's where it's a little bit more widespread that people are Jays fans and Raptors fans, as opposed to whether you're a Leafs fan or a Habs fan or a Sens fan or whatever team you end up going for. But to say that somebody should be a fan of a Canadian team just because you live in Canada, to me is pretty absurd and stupid. That also means that you shouldn't like the NFL because they don't have any. But do you agree, or Liam, do you feel like, have you ever heard anybody give you that argument that if someone doesn't like a Canadian hockey team, then what are they doing?
I actually have, because I grew up as a Wings fan. Right. You get a lot of flack for, you're so close to Toronto. Why don't you support the Maple Leafs? And it's because they're just not a good team, and I hate the fans. No.
Yeah. I mean, Leafs fans are the worst. On the whole, I find that most Toronto fans in general are the worst. So the most critical. I don't want to say okay. They are the most vocal that we are in proximity of for how they treat their teams. Teams like Philadelphia or New York obviously are maybe a little bit more vocal, we don't live in those cities, so we get to see the way that Leafs fans and Toronto fans on the whole operate on a more regular basis. And I'm the first one to tell you that if I was going to cheer for basketball, probably Raptors, but I mean I have no allegiance to any NBA team. I usually try and watch the players that if I like them in college or they went to Michigan State, like I'll follow along with them. But the I don't know, man. Like I think it's kind of crazy the way that Raptors fans wrote off the Raptors. I mean, we wrote them off because we didn't really care for them. But I don't know. They gave up on them really quickly. Obviously, ultimately they didn't make the playoffs. What they should have done is gotten rid of Kyle Lowry. Anyway, like back to, I mean, we're talking Toronto. We're talking about Leafs fans. We're talking about Toronto fans. I don't know if I'm being overly biased when it comes to being a Jays fan and the way that I feel about the team. But when I watch the games, obviously the last 2 innings are a little bit shaky because the bullpen stinks. But I don't ever think like, oh, they just ran this lineup out. Like, they're shit. They're going to lose for sure today. And I think that they used to do that a lot with John Gibbons. It seemed like all the main players or the star players, if they were getting a day off, it'd be on like a Sunday afternoon. And it just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. But you know that these bench players are going to be doing nothing. And, oh, there's our boy. It's coming to...
What's up?
Totally ignores the fact that I'm like, hey, message me before you come on so I'm ready for the screen switch.
Yeah.
Ready for the what switch?
Screen switch.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Yo, Rick didn't show, so I've been me and Liam have just been shooting the shit here a little bit. So we'll catch you up a little bit. But yeah, we were just kind of talking about the AL East right now and the American League on the whole. And do you think that a Jays team, and what I did was I took the remaining games, which is 43, and I put them at a 65% winning clip, which again is low. It's lower than what they're at, but that gives them 31 more wins, and that gives them 93 total on the year. So is that good enough for them to get into the playoffs?
Well, okay. So Tampa Bay, wow, they're playing really well this year. Okay.
Yeah, I think the division's wrapped. Like that's
done. But that's the thing. Like, I don't know if it's done. The Jays are hitting the ball every third pitch. Like, it's crazy what they're able to do, right? So I don't know if it's actually done. Who's going to win the AL East? They're going in different directions. The Red Sox and the Blue Jays for sure. I think that it's going to be a 3-team race between Tampa. The Yankees are really going to come on strong when they get everybody back and healthy. And if Rizzo continues to play what he's doing, 90 wins, 92 wins. I don't know if that's enough to get a wild card spot.
So what do you think the wild card? So if we're just looking at wild card, let's take the division out of it. Only because we're 6 games out. Red Sox have a better shot at the division, but they're 2.5 out of the wild card. The Jays are. The Yankees are 2 out. And right now it's held by Oakland and Boston. Now, of those 4 teams, what 2 do you put in the wild card game?
Well, I think Oakland's played really well the whole season. I mean, they're taking a big hit. I think who was it that was it Pawson that got popped for the PEDs? I can't remember who was in their team.
Yeah, it was one of their outfielders.
But somebody was hitting the ball really well anyway. I just can't remember who it was, unfortunately. But that's definitely going to hurt them offensively. But they're just a sound team, so I think Oakland wins one of them. I think I'll give it to them. It really. Okay. I don't think that Boston. I don't think that they're going to get it. Something's wrong there. Something happened before the trade deadline, and the team's starting to fall apart. And really, it's pitching is what it comes down to. And I mean, when your closer blows 4 saves in a row, I mean that's not good either, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to give it to the Red Sox.
Maybe they got rid of all their trash bins in Boston, and they got recycling bins, and they're not picking up the sound the same.
Very well could be it, man. Very well could be it. But yeah, I mean, okay, Jays are playing hot. I just think that the Yankees got something going there, man. They're a team that's just been hurt or on the 1-9 the whole year.
Yeah.
And if they can get all those folks back, plus all the additions they got at the trade deadline, I don't know if I can say the Jays can overtake that. That's really difficult.
No, and I agree. And I mean, I actually kind of think that when it's all said and done, the dust is going to clear. Maybe, again, what I was saying to Liam a lot was maybe this is my bias coming through, but I think it's going to be the Yankees and the Jays in the wild card.
Okay. Hey, that's a fun wild card. Even as a Red
Yeah.
Sox fan, this year specifically, it's a fun wild card to have something like that happen.
Right.
But so Oakland, do you think Oakland's going to fall apart then?
Not fall apart. I guess to me, like, I'm not going to pretend. I don't watch a ton of their games. I watched their game the other night because I bet on them. But I don't see it. Like, but at the same time, I guess I could say the same thing about Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't.
I feel like Oakland's one of those
get
teams
it.
that like nobody gets it. Nobody gets how they do well. They're an ugly team. I mean, I love the color green. Those jerseys are not doing it for me though. And with that yellow in there.
Yeah.
And then there's ballpark. I mean, that's terrible where you're playing, right? So nobody really wants to cheer for Oakland, I feel. And it's Oakland. I mean, who the hell cheers for Oakland anyway? Right.
Yeah.
But
anybody that likes the movie Moneyball will cheer for Oakland. But I like the movie. I like the story, but I'm not buying it. I mean, you bring me to the dance this many times and you stand in the corner every time. Like, give me, at some point you got to get off your ass and fucking shake your ass a little bit there, eh?
Yeah, and that being said, like I said, I picked Oakland and I think the Yankees. I don't think that the Oakland gets past the wild card. I don't think that that's the case. I just think that they're the one who could make the wild card.
So you think the Yankees would beat them in a wild card, and then we're looking at the DS at that point?
Just look at the team that the Yankees have. They have so much leadership there now. They have such a good mix and match of youngsters and leaders there, and everybody knows how to just do their part when it comes playoff time. Rizzo, he's just recently there and broke the curse, right? So
here's my problem with the way that their roster is constructed, and it's been a problem for a while. There is no Derek Jeter there, and there is no Bernie Williams. The guys that came up, the core guys that came up, they're not the kind of guys that are going to stand up in a room and demand control of it. Whereas so the second things start going poorly, the second that team maybe goes on a losing streak, maybe like these guys don't know each other like that. They don't, do you think Rizzo and Stanton hang out? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if they don't know each other and you start losing, you start pointing fingers at each other and you start pointing fingers at the pitchers and whatever. That's where I feel like the Jays have the advantage. They came up together, they've won together, they've lost together. The guys that have been put into the roster, they don't seem like they're big movers and shit. Like Berrios looks like he fits in with the boys. Looks like he's down.
Oh yeah, he fits in with the boy. That's putting it lightly. He's one of the crowd now. I don't know if he'll ever leave.
Right, and great because he's a fantastic. If that guy was the second pitcher in your rotation, provided you have a better first, you're in great shape. And right now, Hunter Ryu and Berrios, I think you're pretty happy with that.
I see where you're coming from. The Jays being young, they're like their best friends. They're not teammates. That's what it looks like when they're playing for sure. The way they celebrate with each other. I just think of the way that the Yankees organization is run. We're talking about a team you're not allowed to have a beard with, right? From top to bottom, they're military driven. The way they're run there. So I feel like as far as if somebody isn't playing up to par or if things are starting to go south, I have no doubt that the ownership of the Yankees would come down and start saying some things to players, let alone the players being able to talk to each other. I don't worry about that within the Yankees organization of any team.
Well, I mean, ultimately, that's why they play the games, and we're going to see the thing unfold. It's cool that, I guess, what are we talking about? 2015, 2016, the Jays were on a run there. And then 17, 18, where 19 was basically a write-off, right? With the COVID year. And now that we're here, it feels like we could have a second competitive year. And it seems like the boys are there to play and stay.
Well, when you got a rookie throwing 11 strikeouts, setting a franchise record for rookies.
Yeah.
On a West Coast trip that they don't normally do well on. And in the first game, too. Talk about setting the tone. Holy shit. And then a grand slam.
The grand that was a nice sealer. They
Yeah.
yeah. And what's amazing, and like I couldn't believe this, that was Teoscar's first Grand Slam of his career.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
See, I was watching the Angels broadcast last night, so I was trying not to get the homerism in there. I was trying to see some stats from the Angels side, so they didn't talk about that at all.
Yeah, no, that was his first one. I mean, those guys probably wouldn't have even thought to look that up because the guy is a power hitter.
Yeah.
But I mean, for rookie records, I was actually asking Chad this, and I'm going to circle back to it for a second. So we're going back to football for a second. So
Okay.
this whole Carson Wentz thing, whether he plays, whether he doesn't play, I'm assuming that you've seen who's taken the first team reps. And
I'm so torn, Shane.
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
I know.
Oh my god! And he's actually doing really well with them too, from what I understand.
I know.
If Sam Ellinger has to come out, I don't know what I'll do, man. It'd be like if Mariota, like the rumors of Mariota would get traded to Indy to take over while Wentz was getting healed up. Man, I would be hurt, man. I just don't know how to take that kind of stuff. This is detrimental.
Yeah, and like I was asking Chad about it too, because Ian Book got drafted by the Saints.
Yes.
And obviously Chad's a Bucs fan, but it's not like Ian Book's starting this year, but 2-3 years down the road he might be.
He might be. We don't know that. Jameis at the helm or Taysom, he might be starting by week 6.
Jameis got LASIK. He's good, man. He's ready. He
that was all. That was the only problem he had.
He needed someone to run lasers through his eyelids, and that's going to make him a better quarterback. I can just tell. I feel it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty excited to see that Ellinger thing.
Oh, I bet you were ready to rub it in, weren't you?
I didn't even put it in our rundown just so that you wouldn't expect it.
Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it. Hook 'em.
Yeah. So,
well, hey, while we're on the Texas topic,
now
that it's official, they're going to the SEC, because when we were talking last time about it, this was still just rumored. It hadn't even been confirmed. So they're dipping. They're going to the SEC. Them in Oklahoma, right?
July 1st, 2025.
I know it's a few years away, but that just means that, right now we've got to start looking what Texas does through the pipeline, because they got to start bringing in recruits that are competing now against the Alabamas and the LSUs and all that kind of shit. Now I'm gonna step back, because you know what I'm gonna say as far as a win-loss record when they come into the SEC. Where do you think the Texas settles? They got money. It's just been, I think that they play in a shitty conference and players don't want to play in the Big 12. Nobody gets noticed there. Could this help them?
Which you would have to assume that they're going to end up in the conference with Alabama and Arkansas, or because there's 2 divisions in that conference, right?
Yep.
Liam, do you mind looking up the Southeast Conference and just letting me know who's in which division? Because I'm going to assume that Arkansas and Alabama are in the same side and Auburn's in that side. That's the side that I believe would make the most sense, like geographically, for Texas to be a part of, if that's what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
The Southeast Conference for football.
Southeast Conference.
Yeah, you could just put SEC football.
Yeah,
and it'll probably tell you. Yeah. Well, once he tells me the team names, I'll give you a better idea. But they're gonna probably play Texas Tech, which I'm gonna say.
Which is nice. They get to bring back a rivalry there.
Yeah, I'm gonna base it on this year. So if you played Texas Tech this year, or not Texas Tech, sorry, Texas A&M. If you played Texas A&M this year, you're gonna lose. And if you play out, go ahead, Liam.
So SEC East is Florida, Georgia, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And West is Alabama, A&M, Auburn, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and LSU.
That is an ugly division, man.
And that's the one you're going to end up in.
Well, yeah, because Oklahoma is far more east than Austin would be. So they're definitely going to get the fucking Gators division, which, they're still playing within the other division as well. But still, that's a pretty easy division to take a hold of.
But yeah, you're gonna get some cupcakes.
So what's good? But that being said,
Joe Schroeder just got traded to the Steelers.
Yes, I did see that. Yes, I saw that. So okay, that being said, so if they land in Alabama, do you agree with me in any way that the Big 12 just sucks and a lot of the talent in as far as kids do not want to go there? Like really, it's Big Ten or SEC. If you want to get noticed,
Yeah.
if you want to get recruited beyond college football, if you want to be surrounded by the talent level that NFL is going to be, playing with the men, that's where you got to play. That's why I feel that Texas has gotten the raw end of the deal here. Ever since Texas A&M left to go to the SEC, I think that was the beginning of the end of the Big 12 and all the recruitment that could come through. How many 4-star, 5-stars we've had come through and then walk away and go to the SEC?
Yeah, because the problem isn't necessarily because like Ellinger was a good quarterback. They've had decent receivers come through. Texas generally has a run game, but it's the defensive players and the schemes that they're going against. If you're a DB, you don't want to be in a spread against spread offenses all the time. You probably don't mind facing whatever it is, 10 throws versus 30 on your side for the game. And yeah, it's probably going to help them a little bit for that because what it needs to go back to, and like this is going to be your chance to have a big smile on your face. So there's certain things that like stand out in your childhood and certain things that will like you'll always remember. And I always remember wanting to be Texas when I played the game, the NCAA football game, because of how crisp the colors looked, like the orange with the white helmet with the orange logo. Like that's what I liked. I thought that was sick. I was a Michigan State fan, but at that time, Texas was an iconic team with iconic uniforms, and you had all the best stuff. Right now, all the other programs have kind of caught up to you as far as what you can offer the players. Not like anyone's getting bribed or anything, but you know what I mean. Like the boosters have kind of leveled themselves out. Texas needs to do something to make themselves, I don't want to say relevant because that's not right. They need to do something to make themselves cool.
Well, I'll tell you what wasn't cool and what also hurt them was them complaining about the whole horns down bullshit. And then going as far as complaining to make the Big 12 make it a rule. That's weak. Okay. Yeah. That is what Oklahoma and Texas have done against each other for many, many years. That's just what it always was. And I think that was friggin' soft. That doesn't look good on Texas football.
Yeah, and because you brought that up, we'll circle back to another topic, and it's the NFL taunting. We'll get back to that, but I want to I want to stick to this. So, if you were to think of college football right now, and say, like, Josh isn't on here, but say you're Josh, you're 16 or 17 years old, and you're trying to pick a college football team to like, why, like right now, why would you choose Texas? All it looks like is like it's your dad's team. It's your grandpa's team. Texas used to be cool. They're not, Vince Young doesn't go there anymore. Like they need an electric player like that, whether it's a running back. I don't think it can be a receiver. It has to be a running back or a quarterback or defensive player, maybe. Like
they used to be called DBU. There was a long time where they were pumping out DBs. Michael Huff, Michael Griffin, Sam Huff came from there too. Michael's brother. Michael didn't actually. Sam, I don't think actually played very well, but he was good in college. He didn't pan out in the NFL very well. But yeah, there was and Arakpo came from there. We've had some good defenders. You mentioned Vince Young not being there. The guy's been in and out, like on and off the team in some regard as like a coach or like a mentor over the last 5 years. They've got to figure out if he's in or he's out, right? Vince Young is iconic to Texas. That guy needs to be part of it. Start reining him in a little bit and start having him show up to these games and help recruit and shit like that. It's really been since, Colt was fun to watch. Sam was fun to watch, but Vince was it. Like that was it for me, man.
Yeah. I mean, we could just go off the field and look at, say, Matthew McConaughey. Now, that's probably a name that you wouldn't expect to hear on this show, but that guy is obviously a pretty big face when it comes to Texas football.
Damn right.
And Longhorns football. When Texas was cool and when it was in the peak of things, that guy had just done things like Dazed and Confused. And he was a pretty big movie star at the time. And like, I'm sure that he still is. I'm not trying to like throw shit on the guy because he hasn't made a movie. All right. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah. Be a lot cooler if you did. Yeah. That's the guy that makes you want to like Texas football. Now that guy's like almost 60 probably.
Oh, easy, man.
How old do you think Matthew McConaughey is?
I don't know. Probably in his 40s.
No, bro. 50s, I'm going to tell you, that guy is if he's not 55, he's north of it.
Oh my
Like,
God, that's
Matthew
cool.
McConaughey is 51.
All right, so I was.
There we go.
I was close. We were both wrong. But still, would you think that Matthew McConaughey's 51?
No.
And now, if he was to do all the weird shit that he does, now he's just the creepy fucking dude that comes to the frat parties. He's a 51-year-old dude that comes to frat parties. It's not as cool as it was.
So
20
he's
years
dazed
ago.
and confused all over again.
Yeah.
He's
But, like,
playing
in
that
real-
role in real life.
In real life, like, he might have to check his pulse because he might be dazed and confused. But what I'm saying is they need to find something to make themselves cool again.
Well, this could be it. SEC could be it. That could be the move that makes them cool and hip and
Yeah.
in the face. You know what I mean? Like, again, nobody's watching Big 12 football, but anybody will turn on the game to watch Florida, even Missouri play. They'll turn on the game to watch. So,
and it's pretty wild to think, like, you know, like, think of another fairly iconic team from when we were kids, and that would be Tennessee. So Tennessee, they seem to always be good. I mean, friggin' Peyton Manning was there. I think T. Martin won a national championship there, who went on to be a Steelers quarterback and wasn't great, but that's the quarterback that we passed on Tom Brady for, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Eek.
The Steelers took T. Martin instead of Tom Brady. So I don't know. I'll just pivot from that because that's just weird. I do think that Texas needs to do something to get cool again. Tennessee probably needs to figure out a way to get cool again because.
Well, they're in the weak division. They're the one that should be cool all the time, right? It's just them in Florida. That's really the only one you're really cheering for in that division. South Carolina, I guess, once in a while. But yeah, like Tennessee has the opportunity to win every year. I'm sipping the Tennessee Kool-Aid from the fans about all the changes they're gonna make, and they've got this big old stadium, and the fans are gonna be an impact. Man, I don't understand why Tennessee can't be better and hasn't been good in over a decade. It's terrible.
Yeah, they really haven't, and I don't think that it's going to get any better any quicker. That's just kind of it's kind of the way that it is. It's like somebody at your work that really sucks at their job. If nobody tells them that they're doing something wrong, and they make the same amount of money, why would they change what they do?
Yeah.
So right now they continue to have that pipeline of money rolling through, and the people that are obviously, the people that make the head coaching hires are actually the owners of the Cleveland Browns. So you can only imagine how fucking great they are making decisions. I think it's the Haslam family, and they're the ones that are like the big boosters for Tennessee. So they're fucking everything over in Cleveland for however many years. Now they're going to continue to fuck things over in Tennessee. So I don't see them digging out of that one anytime soon. The SEC conference, for as great as they can be and as great as they are, generally there's a national champion coming out of that conference. There are some teams that are pretty bad. Like, how do you think Tennessee would fare if they went to, I mean, I guess roster specific questions, but how would they fare if they went to a different conference? If you call it the ACC, Tennessee goes to the ACC tomorrow.
Well, the ACC only has 2 players in it too, right? Yeah, well, Clemson, and you got Notre Dame that plays in ACC once in a while.
Yeah, but I mean, so that's not a bad conference for Tennessee to join. But I'm saying, would they actually be competitive, or do they know that they are not going to get better? So why move to something like that to have the same record? You might as well have the same record in the SEC, win one conference game when you play Vanderbilt every year, and move on with your life. Just cash your big check.
Cash your check and move on to basketball. It's the only thing you seem to be okay at.
Yeah, and they hit and miss on that, but they're decent at basketball. Now this is not a big NBA show. Obviously, everybody knows that. We talk a little bit here and there, but I can't help but talk about Dennis Schroeder and everything that went down with him at the Lakers, the contract that he turned down, only to sign a $5 million 1-year deal with the Celtics. So Liam, if you don't know this, Dennis Schroeder turned down 4 years, $85 million from the Lakers, and then sat on free agency. No one picked him up. And he got 1 year, $5 million from Boston.
Yep.
That's a big difference.
It's a significant difference. What did he say? So he was offered 485, but didn't he say he wanted like 4,110 or something like that, or 5,110?
Yeah, I think he wanted whatever the max was, like whatever you're supposed to be able to do. But
which is just crazy. I don't understand.
Doesn't make any sense, man.
He'll be an asset to Boston. This is Brad Stevens' team now, right? Because he was coach before and now he's the GM. He's running the show there. So it's going to be neat to see how he fills out the roster. Once he took over, there was lots of stories that came out that him and I'm already forgetting his name, which is terrible because he was there for as long as he was. The former GM, they were having button heads, and there was some personnel decisions that were made that they didn't agree with. So
I have a personnel question to ask you. It's a different sport. Who's the backup quarterback in Philadelphia right now?
For the Eagles?
Yeah.
Is it Hurd?
No.
Who is it?
Joe Flacco.
How the hell did he get there?
I don't know. They're playing the Steelers in the preseason right now, and I just saw him. I thought that's pretty wild. But
I did not know that at all. Huh.
I had to bring that up. For the Celtics, obviously this is a steal. I mean, in the NBA, the contracts are so over bloated. It's so hard to say if something's a good deal or a bad deal, right? But if you can get a proven point guard for $5 million, you would be happy. You would be happy to get that at the trade deadline and pay the guy $5 million. But you're paying him that for the entire year.
Well, yeah, and I love Marcus Smart. The guy's a Celtic through and through. He loves being in Boston. He wants to end his career in Boston. But to have Marcus Smart as my number one is a big risk, right? He's a great defensive player. And, I mean, last year his shooting got a little bit better. But overall, that guy can't drain a bucket if it really mattered. And Boston needs that. Like, they need – we can't always depend on Brown and Tatum to be the finishers all the time. There's three other people on the court.
Think of all the star power that's come through Boston and the Celtics over the last, I'm going to say 15 years. And you have one championship to show for it?
What? In the last 15 years? We had two.
Two? Okay.
But let's also remember the Celtics, there was always, the big three. I mean, when I talk the big three in the past, you're talking, the Chicago Bulls teams, and the Phoenix had a couple of decent teams back in the day too. Yeah. But the big three that I remember that I think really started to set the tone in the NBA, and that's what we've just always seen now year over year, was the big three in Boston. They set the tone, and then you had a bunch of young kids that were going to be able to win against a bunch of old guys like Paul Pierce and KG and Ray Allen jumping ship. I mean, I don't know if that relationship is ever going to get repaired between KG and Ray Allen, ever. For him to leave and go to Miami like he did, just go chase that championship. That hurt. We needed a Ray Allen. We could have had three. But
yeah, no, I agree with you. And again, as not an NBA enthusiast, somebody that enjoys betting on the NBA, I am not a huge fan of the super team.
Yeah,
because it really lopsides the odds, and unless the super team gets down by a bunch at the beginning, there's not a whole lot of value there. But I do think it's pretty interesting how often in the NBA on a whole the rosters get shooken up, and the big.
Well, it's wherever LeBron goes. He says, "Clear the whole team and get whoever I want here."
Yeah, but I mean, even think of a guy like Kemba Walker, like all the traveling that dude's done through the NBA.
Yeah, the Kemba deal just never worked out. He never, after he got hurt in the bubble, he never came back to his normal self. He was never decisive. Terrible.
Yeah, no, and the Raptors, they made a big move in the draft. They took Scottie Barnes as
big move because you thought he was going to go there, right?
Yeah. Well, if I wasn't on this show and didn't do my other job, I feel like I would be a talent scout in a professional sport somewhere, because I have an eye for this thing. I know what's going to happen. I know what fits. I know what makes sense. And if anybody's out there watching, feel free to drop me a line if you want me to do that job for you. Yeah, like not only was the guy the right pick, but he's starting off his summer league on a pretty great note. And the rumor that's happening at this point is that Pascal Siakam's going to get dealt.
Yeah. It's crazy. That was the heart of Toronto. I mean, well, Kawhi was the heart, but that run too that was Pascal's team. If it wasn't Kawhi's, that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, it's because Pascal played every night and he didn't need load management. But
also, while we're on the Raptors, why the hell is Kyle Lowry getting his number retired? Like, why? Is he the first Raptor?
No.
Who's the first? Tell me it was Damon.
It's a good question. Who was the first Raptor to get their jersey retired, Liam? I bet you.
How many jerseys have been retired?
Damon Stoudemire would make sense.
That's just a really exorbitant thing to be done. Think of the players who have their jerseys retired. Kyle fucking Lowry.
Okay, so the first Raptor to have their jersey retired in Toronto is Kyle Lowry.
That's what I thought. He's the only one.
Wow.
That's what I mean. The problem is Damon, Vince, T-Mac. Like, they had great players back in the late 90s. T-Mac was only there for a little bit because he had to go make his own team. But
and he wasn't really anything in Toronto because he was behind Vince Carter.
Yeah. But who was the other the big guy, the big player that when Damon was there, their centerman they had back then. I can't even remember his name right now. There's many players. Kyle Lowry? This guy wanted out of Toronto multiple years until Toronto gave him a player like Kawhi Leonard to get a championship.
Well, yeah, it was, what was the guy? Anthony Davis was there. Charles Oakley was there. Hakeem Olajuwon, I think, was there at one point.
What in the hell, Shane? Your name and play. You don't even watch basketball, and you know this is just disgusting.
Yeah, well, it's even grosser, and I'm going to tell you this, and I haven't gotten to one of these debates because I usually leave the room if it comes time for it, but there is debate that Kyle Lowry is the greatest Raptor of all time.
This is also hand in hand with the retiring of the jersey number. Again, we had Vince Young, Vince Carter. And I know Damon's not Kyle Lowry. Damon, he was a far better teammate than Kyle Lowry ever was. He was a far better marketable Raptor, I feel, than Kyle Lowry ever was until Kyle Lowry won a championship. He wasn't a marketable player, in my opinion. And he didn't bring anything to the team outside of complaining to the refs every friggin' game. I don't get it. But best Raptor of all time, first retired jersey, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And he's still playing. Like, you announced this while the guy is still playing in the NBA. And he left your team to go to another team. He took a sign-in trade. He didn't want to stick around.
So if you're Vince Carter right now, how do you feel about this? Like,
slapped in the face.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, right?
The guy made a tour through all the NBA, Vince Carter. He played as many years as he did in the NBA. You would think that the team that took the chance on him probably would have retired his jersey and probably announced that before the player that they're going to retire is still playing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Stupid.
And on a really small note, the Raptors signed Sam Decker, who isn't a high priority signing, not a big anything, but he can shoot. And I mean, anytime that you have a white that can shoot like that, I think that your team is probably, they just got a dangerous level on them.
Jesus. Well, the Raptors have never had to work with them.
That's how it works in March Madness. If you got a white guy that can shoot, like that's, I don't know, your team usually just has that extra X factor. It helps when you have guys like Scottie Barnes and Pascal Siakam, but when those guys get double coverage, you can just chuck the ball back.
Well, if that's the way the Raptors want to build their team, all the power to them. But we've never had to worry about the Raptors and their shooting ability. It's just always been on the other side of the court that we've had to go, holy shit, you got to do something there.
Yeah, they haven't been great. But last thing I got for you.
Okay, lay it on me.
And I skipped over this a little bit.
Okay,
but I want to know what rookie quarterback you think is most likely to play week 1.
Oh shit.
Doesn't have to be first rounder. It could be anybody.
Rookie quarterback to go to play week 1. of all of them, I still think, because I don't believe in the player that's there right now, that New England could be it. We got this guy that's walked around in the offseason so far with a feather in his hat, pretending to be Cam Newton. He's been impersonating other players as well. He's had fun. He's the one in control of the music in the locker room already. Yeah, that's very unheard of for a rookie. So I don't know, man. I think that this is a guy they finally. I don't know if Chad mentioned but they finally gave him a real number. It's number 10.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so they finally gave the New England player, all the rookies, their numbers today came out. And so, yeah, he's going to be number 10. But they gave a number. Maybe that means, hey, let's get down to business, buddy. It's time to go to work. And Cam Newton's leash is short. And he knows it. I think I brought this up in the show before. He said it's time for him to compete for New England and bring his end of the table now, end of the bargain.
When it comes down to it, I mean, if they told him that he has to play in this preseason game today, which he did, and he is, you are not a guaranteed starter if you're the starting quarterback for the first preseason game this year.
In your 13th year or 12th year or something like that at this point?
Yeah. I mean, like, if you think of somebody that's probably starting a preseason game this year, or this we'll say this one, who's starting the preseason this game and is going to be the week 1 starter, it's probably only Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yeah, it seems that way. I don't know. Minshew, he'll say otherwise. He doesn't take number 2s right now, right?
Yeah, well, and apparently Urban Meyer has come out and said that this is a quarterback competition. We're not handing anybody anything, which obviously that's coach speak, but kind of an interesting little soundbite. And I mean, it's bullshit, obviously.
Can I just pray that Trevor Lawrence does horrible and doesn't ever start? I'm sick of generational quarterbacks coming through the AFC South and not being on my team. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you admitted that Ryan Tannehill's not a generational quarterback. There's balls flying. Man, there's balls flying out of the Field of Dreams right now. Have you seen any of it, Kalen?
No, I literally ran home, got all of my things set up, and then I hopped on. So I haven't even had a chance to turn anything on yet.
Yeah, so watch it from the beginning, because there's actually the beginning. Kevin Costner comes out of the cornfield.
Really?
Yeah, and then both teams follow behind him, but it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty majestic.
Well, me and Ricky played at the Field of Dreams last night in the show, and I don't know if he mentioned it or not, but it wasn't a good ending for him. So
no, he didn't mention it. He's the son of a bitch. He was supposed to be on here with us earlier. That's why I was by myself earlier.
Oh, he didn't even come on?
No, man.
Oh, Ricky.
Yeah. All right, really, really quick, and then we're gonna get off of here because we gotta go and get our beauty sleep for this big golf challenge tomorrow, which Liam is currently icing his knees for. Kalen is currently icing his vag, and I am drinking and letting my vitamins kick in. Are you worried about Dak Prescott and this second opinion MRI that he has to go back to Texas to get? Doesn't it feel like kind of like this like Booby Miles thing? Like, oh yeah, his knee's okay. Yeah, we just go to a doctor out of state.
Yeah, that's right. I always love watching Jerry Jones squirm. I don't know. Shoulder strains are never good for quarterbacks, but I don't think that Dak's one to be worried about. I don't know. I saw a quote today, or was it from Hard Knocks, that was him complaining about why they even held him out, that he could have practiced if he needed to or something.
So apparently it's not a shoulder issue. It's actually like a muscle underneath his lat is it's either torn or strained or whatever it is. But yeah, it's something to do underneath the shoulder where it connects to the lat.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not even what you would think is like an AC joint or something like that. It's something completely different, and I think that's why they're having a hard time figuring out what it is. But I don't know. Ultimately, I think that the league is better when the Cowboys are decent, and the only way that the Cowboys are
bite your tongue.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like, it's better for I don't give a fuck. Like, you think I care if the Cowboys suck or not? But it's overall better for the business of the NFL if the Cowboys are good.
Sure.
You know they're going to have 7 primetime games. Either way.
It's terrible. Such a waste. It's like giving Jacksonville a primetime.
Yeah, and just wait. If Trevor Lawrence gets hot, that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like with all due respect to your team, nobody signs up to watch the run game. So as much as everybody loves Derrick Henry, and they're going to love,
we have two receivers now, number ones.
Yeah, they're going to love Julio. It's going to be. They're going to give it to the big names. Your quarterback is never going to be the best player on your team. And I think that's an okay thing, but it's just when your quarterback isn't the best player on your team, you're just not getting those primetime games. And I know I said last thing, Liam's probably already pissed. I have this feeling, and I should have talked about it with Chad, but I think that there's a team in the NFC South that I would bet on being in the Super Bowl over the Bucs.
Who? If you're going to say Carolina, you're wilding out.
Nope.
Are you putting the Saints there?
Nope.
The fucking Falcons?
I have a feeling
that,
what? Yeah, I have if there's a future bet on Cool Bet on who wins the NFC South, I'm gonna go and bet on the Falcons. Because
this is the edibles kicking in, Shane.
Hey, don't you fucking call me out on here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we think of them right now. I'm saying who's the if we're calling Tom Brady the best quarterback in the NFC South, and there's no reason to not, who is the second best quarterback in the NFC South?
I guess Matty Ice.
Is it even close? Like who the second one would be? Like is Sam Darnold or Jameis Winston somehow like anywhere near where they should, like where they're supposed to be?
Well, Sam's still ghost busting, so no.
Yeah, yeah. So I see that. Obviously, they lost Julio. That just means that they don't pay somebody to sit on the sideline. But you got Calvin Ridley, who was arguably their number one receiver last year. Kyle Pitts, monster. They actually got what's his face? Mike Davis from Carolina to be their running back. So they're not going to have a running back with no knees this year. So they might actually have a run game. I don't think that the defense is as bad as it's been advertised. And I'm not telling you that they're going to go like 12-5 or something like that. But
would they have to in order to win the NFC South? Like I don't think the Bucs are going to lose more than 5 games.
I don't think so. I think that the Bucs will be in the playoffs, but I can see them being a wild card. I don't think that they're a runaway team the way that everyone thinks. There's a reason that Antonio Brown settled for $3 million, even though love the guy.
Just name somebody on their defense. I'll give you one name and that's it. There's only one player. Well, I don't even know if I'd really chalk him up as being anything special. He's an undersized safety. He was injured last year. I'll give him the year off. But like really, they don't have defense. They have Deion Jones and Grady Jarrett. And Deion Jones is just like a great nickel linebacker. Oh, actually, he's more than a great nickel linebacker. He's a good linebacker. But like that's just not enough, I feel.
I'm not saying for sure they're gonna win. I'm not saying that they're gonna have this crazy record. Could you see the Atlanta Falcons being 11-6 and winning the division?
Not a chance.
I love
Arthur Smith, and I think that they're a team that could certainly put up 20 points in a game. That you said their offenses, they got Hayden Hurst there too, so they got 2 good tight ends, and then they've got Calvin Ridley. But yeah, they do not have a strong enough defensive side team to stop other teams' offense. I think that's what's going to be their detriment.
If they signed Adrian Peterson, would you feel different?
A 32-year-old or 33-year-old AP, I don't know if I would feel different at this point.
I'm telling you, if you were a betting man, and I know you're not, but if you were a betting man, I would tell you to saunter your ass over to your computer, get on coolbet.com, and find the futures bet that gets you this, because I'll bet you it pays way higher than it should. And I think that there's a good chance that they win the division. And we'll just use your argument against you. You told me that you think that the Browns are in such a great spot because of the third place team in the division, right?
Yeah, but they're a good team. They're a far better built team than Atlanta. I mean, I know you don't like the Browns, but you can admit that, can you not? Holistically as a whole.
Yeah. No, the Browns are in better shape than Atlanta for sure. But if we're looking at Atlanta being the 4th best team in the South last year, you're talking about Atlanta playing against the 4th best teams in all the other divisions, which means who are they playing? That means they're guaranteed playing the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
And who else was in a bad shape last year?
NFC West would have been
The
Arizona.
Cardinals?
Would have been the last one. Yeah.
The Cardinals. So do you not see it feasible that Atlanta could beat the Cardinals? I do. I don't think it's a lock, but I see it feasible.
No.
And
Atlanta's going to make moves in the NFC West this year. I'm hoping.
And you go to the other side, and you're looking at probably a team like either the Giants or the Eagles. Like, you don't think the Falcons could beat either one of those teams?
Not with Danny Dimes. We've already talked about this.
So we've already given them 3 wins right there. So even if they, you split with the Bucks, win them both against Carolina, split with New Orleans, whatever. Say you get 4 wins out of your division, like that's already like they're already at 7. You don't think they could win 4 other games on top of that?
Not happening, man. I love that you're getting this hype train, and I'm sure that Hat Lance is loving it too. But
yeah. Well, I am doing this for our pal Nick Newman, and I honestly do think this, and I'm telling you, if there's a bet like this on Cool Bet, I'm taking it. But we should probably sign off because I'm pretty sure you've been on here for an hour now, which means we're in about double or triple overtime right now, and Liam's ready for us to go because it's bedtime because it's golf time. But before we sign off, obviously make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're on Twitch. Our Twitch is starting to get a little bit bigger, so check that out. Kalen, eventually, and I are going to start playing a little bit of the show and Madden on there. I just got to figure out how to log into it, and I'm sure Kalen will show me how to do that. But I guess next week is going to be a little bit of a journey. I do plan on coming on and supporting you guys on Monday, but on Thursday it'll probably be me and you, and I'll be sitting at a beach house somewhere. So.
At a beach house somewhere.
Oh, you better believe it, playa.
Where are you going?
Oh, don't you worry. I'll be over at a nice little beach house, enjoying life, live streaming, eating Eddies, drinking beers.
Good for you.
Yeah. And until then,
make sure to shave your nuts for the beach.
We're not saying that one yet because we might have a new sponsor. Let's just wait. Let's just wait on that one. Till then, let's cheers. Liam's probably gonna